My name's Tom Colvin, and I'm the audio lead at Media Molecule, hence the pink T-shirt. And this is...
Hi, I'm Alex. Oh, I'm Alex, manager at Media Molecule as well, but Tom's going to be doing most of this.
And I'm going to be showing you all about the audio system that we've built inside Dreams. Dreams is the next game from Media Molecule, and it's the next game in the series of play, create, and share things that we've been doing. So the idea is you can play games that everyone else has made, play games from the community, play the game that we've made, and then all the tools that we use to make all those games are in the game as well. So you can make a game yourself. And all of those tools are fairly well-rounded and full-featured, which means we have a full sound and music creation system that lives inside Dreams. So the sound and music creation system is based on this ethos that we have of reducing technical complexity. A lot of 3D artwork packages and digital art packages and sound packages are very complicated. You've got a lot of menus and a lot of knobs and wires, and this building's full of that. Everyone loves those. But Dreams, the idea is to sort of minimize that kind of thing and make the interface a bit more tactile, but without reducing the amount of detail that you can go to. So it's got to satisfy people that know nothing and have never made anything before, and at the same time satisfy indie game developers and people like me, because I'm making the game too, and I want it to do all this like fine detail, crazy stuff. So I'm going to start not with sound at all. I'm going to start with a little bit of just making a game, just to show you very quickly the ethos of building something in Dreams from scratch. And I've already cheated, because I've got some stuff that other people have already made, and that's not really cheating. That's part of the ethos of Dreams. The idea is, if you don't know anything about creation, you can lean on the creativity of other people who've contributed their work to what we call the Dreamiverse, which is like our online cloud-based database of everything anyone has made in Dreams. So in here, just going to grab the controller a sec. You can see we've already got this nice-looking, pretty level with grass and trees and bits and pieces. And if I want to add something to this level, I can just search. And if I search, I'm going to go into this handily labeled section here called Cool Stuff, which is obviously good. And we're going to look in here and find some pieces of artwork. Let's find this Twisty Vine. And it appears here like this. I can twist it round using the touchpad here. And I can scale it up and down. And I can just stamp it into the level, like so. So you can see the very simplest level of interaction you can have is just stamping things in like this. And then we have this lovely copying system where you can duplicate things, and then you can make these sort of fractally kind of style copies. So if I copy that, then I can... So you can very quickly build a level from very little. Like so. I'm not an artist, I hasten to add. So this is just me randomly copying bits and pieces. Let's take this tree, and let's add this tree here. Let's make it really large. And let's have another one here. I'm going to flip it round. And so on. Okay, so great work, Tom. This is absolutely masterful. I'm now going to put a little character in this here. Just add a playable character. And as you can see, we've got like a choice. Massive choice of characters at the moment. There's two. Foxy or Francis? Foxy. Everyone says Foxy. Why is that? Foxy's cool. All right. So we're going to place Foxy in the world. Just down here. And now I can start playing in play mode and run around and test my game. See if it works. See how hard it is to play. Off we go, like this. Okay, so let's say I want to add a little bit of interactivity. Let's go back into editing mode. So this is something you can see is very seamless. You can go from playing your game to editing and back. So now here I am in edit mode again. And I'm going to copy this this bit. And I'm going to animate it. And animation is very simple in Dreams. Everything's based on gestures and movement and stuff you can just do with your hands. If you want to move something, you just grab it, you record the movement. Simple. So here I am grabbing a little action recorder, and I stamp it into the level. As soon as I stamp it, it's going to start recording what I do. So now I'm going to grab this thing, and I'm going to move it like this, wobbly, because my hands are wobbly, and then put it back here, like so. I finish recording, and then when I play the level, you can see it's moving in this beautifully, wonderfully animated way. So that just gives you a really simple taste of the kinds of things that are possible. There's a ton more detail, a ton more subtlety involved in this. So I'm just going to skim over it just to give you an idea of what it means. So let's talk about music and how we've thought about making it an easy experience, adding music to an experience like this. So the simplest thing you can do is, again, find something that exists in the world that everyone else has made and add that to your level. So let's find a piece of music. If I go into sound mode here, then in sound mode we've got these sort of curated sections of content. So I can go over to this music clips section, and this takes us to, this is kind of like our version of a folder structure. We've drawn all over it and made it pretty, because you can do that. It's fun. So let's choose a piece of music. And inside this piece of music, you can see over here, we've got the whole piece, and over here, we've got little bits and pieces of sections. This is what the sort of chunks of sound that the music is made of. But I don't really know anything about music at this stage, and I'm just going to take this piece of music and put it in the game. So I take it, and it appears on the tip of my imp. The imp is like your sort of little avatar pointer character. And I'm just going to stamp it in the level, anywhere really. And now when I play the game, there is music. Hooray. It makes a sound. Brilliant. So I'm just going to briefly look inside that so you can see what it looks like. I think that's where, is that one? Yeah, that's it. So if I open this, let's take it away from the rest of everything so we can see it better. So you can see here something that looks very familiar to anyone. How many of you are involved in audio creation, music, and that kind of thing? So yeah, a few people. Okay, so you'll recognize this kind of thing. So in some cases, we've decided like there's an interface that exists in the rest of the world. It's kind of good. It kind of already tells us what we need to know about making music. So we've used this interface. And it's a timeline. And you can see here, when I press play, I'm going to skip forward a little bit. I'll just let that play for a bit. So all of this was created inside Dreams using instruments that we've made at Media Molecule. Everything lives inside the platform. And just like I was saying with the art system, the music tools are right there. So if you want to change something, if you want to edit something, if you want to create something from scratch, it's a very, very quick loop for creation and iteration. Most game systems, you have to do stuff somewhere else and then run an import process and then run your game and da-da-da-da. Anyway, it's slow. So let's talk a little bit about what if you want to make something yourself. Okay, so imagine you've got a little bit of interest in creating music, but you don't know anything about music theory, you don't know how to do something musical, you just want to have a fun experience making something quick. Or let's say you're making like a musical birthday card for your friend in Dreams. That would also be a perfectly viable thing to do. So again, I'm going to go into sound mode, and then inside sound mode, I'm going to grab a timeline, and notice the timeline's empty now, so I'm going to put stuff on it. And I'm going to go into the same library here of music clips, and I'm not going to choose from here. I'm going to choose from this nicely labeled thing called Groove Starters. And again, we've just got a bunch of bits and pieces that we pre-created that you can use. So this is so far so GarageBand, right? So let's listen to these. Somebody choose one of these for me. What do you want to hear? Which one? Anyone? That one. Okay. All right. We're making house now. Brilliant. Okay, so I stamp it on there, and then I'm going to extend it out a little bit like this, make it loop. Okay. Now let's choose another one. So let's choose bass line. I can't hear the bass in here. There's not much. Let's... That one. Okay, good. Thank you. All right. Hooray. Okay, so this isn't terribly complicated, but don't worry, we'll get there. The point of this is to demonstrate that it's really simple and easy to assemble music if you don't know anything about music. And the reason for that is you're just relying on other people who've spent time creating bits and pieces of things and publishing them. That's part of the ethos of Dreams. You can be a creator and you can make bits of music and then share them with the rest of the world. And you can share them in such a way that people can disassemble them and reassemble them themselves. It's called remixing. Everyone knows what remixing is in the world of music. And it applies to all of the content in Dreams, not just the music. So let's add one more track to our awesome creation. So let's have a look over here. We've got... Which one of these do you want? Make a choice. Somebody. Top left. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's place that down there. And extend the end like this. This bass is too loud. Okay, this is the science part. There it is. We're going to get into that. Okay, great. So we've just seen the sort of timeline and assembly part of this. So now I'm going to show you the Freeform Surface, and it's called, what's it called? Freeform. No. It's got a name. We don't know what the name is yet. Still in development. Freeform Mode. Okay, great. So if I open this, yeah. Okay, so let's have a look at this when we're playing back. You can see we've got this sort of colorful surface here with different regions. And if I perform, you can hear, I don't know if you can hear that above the noise, but essentially the sound is changing as I move across the surface. I'm manipulating the sound. I'm just going to open a different one that demonstrates that better. Come on, let's grab another clip. Let's go into here and drums. There we go, Cello Harmonics. Okay, great. Oops. And I've dropped it. Let's do it again. Hooray! There we go. There we go. We've got a really sort of colorful surface here. I'm just going to delete the notes. So the point of this surface is for performing and manipulating your sound in real time. So when I hold down a note, it's really quiet. Sadly, I'm going to turn it up. All right, I'm going to choose a different instrument. 1 second. This is a terrible demonstration now. Okay, let's get a bass. Okay. All right, this one. Right, more brightly colored circles. Now, as I move around the sound, let's turn it up a bit. So you see the point of that right there. There's a filter, and it's changing as I move across the surface. Like this. When I move over here, so maybe I'll turn it down a bit now. It's quite loud. Sorry, everyone. Okay, good. So you get the principle, right? Each one of these circles, each one of these spheres is called a field. And it's pushing all of the parameters that live inside the sound technology in a different direction. So if I look inside one of these, you can see there's a lot of detail in here. This is basically a fully fledged sound and synthesis engine, right? So there's a bunch of different things in here as well. Let's talk about the music side of things first. So if I want to play notes, we've got 8 buttons on the controller here, and those 8 buttons correspond to 8 notes in a musical scale. So I can play we can change scale if we want to, change scale and key. We've got a selector for this, so let's go into basic here and let's have C major. Let's change the fade in here. I'm just changing the, yeah. Ooh. And then as I tip left to right, I've got different octaves here, so I can go lower like this by tipping the controller over like so. So one of the things you'll notice about this is you can only play one note at a time. I've only got 2 thumbs, and actually you can only press one button at a time here. But often music involves more than one note. So we have a sort of assist mode thing here, which is called Chord Mode, allows you to play several buttons at once. So if I enable Chord Mode, we've got all the musical notes that are involved in this scale. So if you just turn on the 1, the 3, and the 5, does anyone know anything about music theory? Okay, well, for those of you that don't, this system allows you to play notes that are all part of the same key and scale, but that are shifted from the beginning. So if I play 1, 3, and 5, we get this. I'm going to find a piano which demonstrates this better. Hang on. Yeah, there we go. Let's do this with the piano instead. You can see here we've got different sets of fields arranged on the surface. So each instrument is designed by whoever's made this, and they've chosen how to manipulate the sound that's appropriate to the sounds that are there. We're going to get more into that in a bit. Okay, the other thing that we have, as well as a chord mode, which keeps you in the key that you're in, is we also have an arpeggiator, and the arpeggiator does the same sort of thing. Hang on, let's turn that off. Arpeggiator is a sort of instant, I don't know how to play music, win. You can just hold down one button, sounds pretty good. So I'm just pressing different buttons on the keypad, and all of them are in the same key, so it's just shifting the notes in the scale. So it's just like a musical assist mode, it's kind of like a cheat. Then here on the touchpad, I've got like a thing where I can change the speed that we're going at with the arpeggiator. So if I make it really fast, let's just make the release on the piano really nice and long, so it sounds like we've held down the loud pedal. And it then sounds like you're a much better pianist than I am. You can do this. And so on. So let's show you some drum sounds now, because what we've been looking at is sort of sounds that are tonal. Let's have a look at some drums and apply the same logic there. Let's turn that off for a second. Let's grab one of these instruments here. So if I have a drum machine and I use the arpeggiator thing, I turn that on. I turn on all the notes like this. And it's just going to cycle through all the drum sounds in timing. And I'm using the touchpad to change the speed that it's doing this at, right? So let's turn that down. I was really over-enthusiastic with the volume earlier. Hang on. So again, I'm just holding down one button and moving through the fields. And the fields are changing the sound, they're manipulating the sound as I'm going. And so again, it's like a really simple way to get into making something without knowing what you're doing terribly well. Okay. So the next thing I was going to do is explain how sounds get into here, right? How do you make these instruments? Because there's a whole ton of stuff that we've created in Dreams, and you've got access to all of those. But let's say you're somebody that cares about creating music yourself, and you've got recordings that you want to use, or you want to make something. So we're going to all do this together. We're going to make an instrument just like these that you've had, and we're going to do this. Everyone's going to sing. Everyone can sing, right? Everyone sings beautifully. Okay, cool. So actually, let's have 6 volunteers. Who feels like singing a single note? Can you go la beautifully? Just sing one note. Who can do that? Anyone? Yes. Yes. Okay, come up. Okay, so I'm going to use this little recording device here just to demonstrate this part of thing. You may be familiar with this. This is like a little handheld recorder. You don't have to have this. I'm just using this because I want to show you the import side of things. And so that's a little bit more like the more advanced users will want to do this sort of thing. So everyone's going to record a note. Doesn't matter if it's in tune. I'll show you why later. Okay. Turn it on. Whatever you feel. Whatever you feel. However you feel like singing. Just do some volume. Try and just keep the notes steady. Okay, beautiful. Return. Stage fright. Just do it, come on. Okay, that's perfect. Lovely. Alex. Do you want any more? No. Someone else, go on. Who else? Someone else. Come on, I'm coming. Okay, thank you, everyone. Give yourselves a round of applause. Beautiful. Wonderful. Okay, so now we're going to do the boring bit. I haven't plugged this thing into the TV. There's a laptop here, so I'm just going to plug this thing in, and then you can come around and I'll show you the next section. All right, so give me 1 sec. You don't need this technology, by the way. This is if you have none of this in your home, all you need is a PlayStation camera. And the PlayStation camera has a microphone in, and the microphone is fine for this sort of application of creating fun, silly stuff. So whilst we're doing this, so I'm going to demonstrate very quickly. In a blank level, let's get rid of this and leave. I'm going to make something brand new and empty. Start fresh. Okay, so I'm going to go into sound mode. And in the tools section, there's a microphone. And that sound recorder the PlayStation has a bunch of different audio inputs. You can plug stuff into the sort of little headphone input that's on the game controller. And that's designed for headsets and things like that. But that gives you one way in. And also the PlayStation camera works like a microphone. So I'm just going to do that. So when I stamp this thing down in the world, it's going to start recording. Okay, so I'm turning myself into a music clip. And if I look in this sample mapper view, then there's a little editor thing here, and I can drag.
La la.
Hello. It's really loud.
La.
I'm very toppy.
La la.
How's that? Okay? Fine. Okay, good. Apologies for the harshness of that.
La 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 la.
Awesome. Sounds great, right? So all we need is just one vocal sample. We'll make it sound amazing. And then I'm going to go into Freeform view and...
La 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 la.
So, simple as that. And let's quickly just add a... Are you ready? Okay, I think your recording is ready now. So, everyone, just come around here behind the laptop and... Okay. There on the tip of my end. There it is. So get ready for your awesome selves. Oh, it's a bit quiet. What do we do about this? Go into the sample mapper. This is a nothing sound. I don't know what happened there. So we've got a tiny little slice. Let's just select these four notes. And I'm just going to make them louder, like that. So here we've got 4 notes. This one I can see the start point's not quite right, so let's just trim that. Who was that? That's great. We like that one. Fantastic. Okay.
La la.
It's not always perfect at identifying what octave. So sometimes you'll get this crazy variance going on. Anyway, I think we're going to go with this. I think it's going to be horrifying and beautiful at the same time. So let's go through. We can actually check this stuff. So we should hear the same note every time. You can see over here, I've got like a little note indicator, and that's telling me what note it thinks this is. And I can change that if it's got it wrong. So let's say it's only about, 60, 70% accurate. It's not perfect. It's very hard to do this kind of stuff. There's clever people knowing more about this than I do. Tell me it's hard, so I agree. I believe them. Let's have a look at this one. Yeah, that's great. That's perfect. Okay, and let's look at this one. Yeah, that one. I think that's got the octave wrong. Let's listen to that again. There we go. It's in tune now. And finally, this last one. What's that? Okay, that's good. All right. Amazing. Again, you all sound beautiful and wonderful. And congratulations to all of you. You sound great. Okay, so this sounds very sort of dry and kind of, just like a single recording of a note. So what we're going to do is go into one of the more powerful parts of the thing. Everything in Dreams, who knows anything about granular synthesis? Has anyone heard the word granular synthesis? Okay, some people. For everyone else, very brief explanation of granular synthesis. It's taking a sound and chopping it up into many, many tiny, tiny pieces, and then manipulating those pieces and overlapping them and changing their positions and pitches and all kinds of things like this. It's a really powerful way of just changing sounds. If you want to stretch out a sound and make it longer than it was originally, then this is one way you can do this, is by chopping up the sound into tiny bits and just playing them more regularly. So this is something that we have in Dreams. So let's turn on the grains. And if we make it time stretch, to be very slow, and then make them overlap. And then we're going to add a little bit of reverb. And then we're going to do some randomization. I'm just skipping over this fast because explaining all of this would be kind of fairly technical and a little bit dull. So let's just turn the randomization on and pan. And let's do a little bit of interval jittering. And okay. And let's finally turn on Chord Mode again. If this worked, you're going to be in tune. If it doesn't, I'm going to look stupid. Never mind. You did brilliantly. This is working. I'm amazed. Well done. Sounds good. You sound like a choir. Who knew? We're going to do some stuff like this. Okay. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm just going to demonstrate like a few more of the technical things that you can do here. Just going to talk a little bit about the different, like in detail stuff that you can do. So we've got some pitch stuff that you can... Oh, hang on. I'll tell you what I'm going to do now. Let's do a percussion instrument. Let's do another instrument. That was cool. Let's make a percussion instrument as well. These are two different sections that you can do. Let's make a percussion one. All right. Let's call this Choir of Sonar. There you are. This is the Choir of Sonar. Okay, great. So we're going to go round again. Yes, please. Yes, all playback is based on sampling and waveforms. Yeah, well, no, I'm totally lying. There's a synthesizer in here as well. I'll show you that in a minute. You want to see? Okay, while we're just getting this together, I'll show you. So, yeah, So yeah, we did think about synthesis a little bit. We decided to sort of just opt for a very simplistic kind of synth, just sort of like a backing sound. But we can add the synth into this. Oops, hang on. So let's turn on the oscillator, and then... So you can see we've got like a wave table. That means there are different waveforms, different shapes, different tones, and you can just turn the slider up and down to change that. And then there's a pitch thing. There's some ring modulation mode. You can use that instead. And there's a couple of different FM things like that. If that means something to you, great. Not going to go into terrible detail, but you know what it means. Great. Okay. So yes, there is a synthesizer, but it's like a very kind of simplified version. Are we good? Okay. Turning it on. Okay, so everyone's going to make a percussion sound. Everyone can do that with very little embarrassment, right? So, Alex, you're going to start. I'm going to come round. Yeah, clap is good. Okay, go. So I'm going to just repeat myself and show you that this microphone here is also available for doing this. So into the Sound Tools microphone thing. Okay, so if I look in here, then we've got similar kind of thing. And I can edit the sound in here like this. I'm going to have to do this manually because there's a sort of the same tools for the importer also exist in the game, but it's a little bit more manual. That's why I'm showing you the importer. It's kind of, we've tried to automate the process and make it simpler for you in there. So anyway, you get the idea. And we can zoom in if we can't see the edge very quickly. Zoom in and get that right. So much background noise in here. And zoom out for that. So you can see I'm just doing simple sample edity stuff that you've probably done in samplers and other packages. And let's do this. Oops. How are we doing? Ready? Okay, great. Let's kill this one. Don't need that. Let's come round and have a look at the importer again. Come round here. Yeah, exactly. It's too much sitting down these days. You've got to get up, move around, sit down again. It's my form of yoga. Standing up and recording something. Okay. So now I'm going to turn this into an instrument, and I'm just going to put on a button mapping instead of key tracking. So button mapping just means the sounds are directly mapped to each button. It doesn't try and change the note based on whether I'm going up or down and using the sort of turning the thing. It just says this button plays this sound. And let's look in here. And you can see that we've got each button tells you what sounds are mapped to it. And you can see two different sounds are mapped to the X. That means it's going to randomly cycle between them. So X is going to play two different sounds. And that looks like it's not quite edited the way I want, so I'm just going to change that. Zoom in. And And again, okay, well, let's just try that out. See what that sounds like. I'm going to select them all and make them a bit louder. This is going to be fun. I'll select them all now. So I'm just selecting all these. That was you. Brilliant. Let's turn these all up. Okay. So now you've made a drum machine. Congratulations, everyone. You've made this amazing drum machine. Brilliant, brilliant work. So I'm going to turn it down because it's loud. See, it's quite easy once you get the hang of it. Just pressing buttons. All right, so if I put it in Arpeggiator mode again, then again, like dexterity with your fingers and playing in time, doesn't matter. Don't need that. I can just play all the notes one after the other. Very simple, looping around like this. Let's turn this off. Oh, that's why it's loud. It's playing a chord. So this time it's looping around all of the different sounds that are loaded in, but every time I press a different button, it's starting from that one. So you can sort of still... And then I can change the speed by moving around on the touchpad. Very silly fun. Okay, so one of the other powerful things that you can do in here is, we looked at fields a little bit earlier on, so I'm just going to add some fields to this instrument that we've made. And if you don't know anything about how the fields work, again, the same thing is true of all the other content in Dreams. If you don't know about how this stuff works, you can just go to the Dreamiverse, go to the database of thing, and find stuff that other people have made. So you can add bits that already exist. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to go into the Fields section. And in the Fields section, we've got a whole bunch of different things that we can already add. So, well, here's a really obvious one, reverb. So in a very simple fashion, I can just go... That reverb's quite polite. I want lots of reverb. Please help me demonstrate reverb by having all of the reverb. Simple, right? You move into the reverb, you get reverb. Okay, great. But this isn't like just a single fader. This is all of the faders that live inside the system. So let's say I want to make this be reverb and minus 12 semitones, let's say, for the sake of argument. And let's be a bit less reverb now, just to demonstrate that. Okay, great. So far, so pedestrian. Now let's go into the grains and have fun with those. So one of the other fun things you can do is randomize everything. And it's a very quick way to make a sound a bit more interesting, just by randomizing all kinds of parameters. I'm just going to randomize some stuff in the grains here. Let's randomize this. So when I do that, now it means it's going to change. You can see that there's two values on the fader, and it's going to randomly choose stuff between those two values. And also we've got a interval. That's the space between these little grains. And let's randomize that. So again, this might just sound like me talking, blathering, saying words you don't know what they mean. The effect of this is to just make a very instantaneous, fun, kind of glitchy electronic sound. And let's do this as well. There. So you can hear that now. Let's turn it up a little bit. And let's compress it. Let's put it on 16ths. So suddenly you've made something completely otherworldly and robotic sounding. That was all of you clapping and stomping your hands and shouting and so on. And now we have a sort of crazy robot instead. Okay, so let's manipulate that further. Let's add another field. Let's go into the distortion fields for maximum horrible, grimy sounding things. Let's add this wave folder over here. So you see, again, all I did was I recorded a few sounds with my microphone to make a fun instrument, and then I wanted to manipulate them. All I have to do is find these fields and add them. I don't really have to know what they do or what the names mean. I can just add them and try it out and see what happens. And straight away, you can have fun performing just by drawing on the surface. Okay. And again, this may be sounding technical. I've gone into the technical side of things. You don't need to be technical to do this. You can just use the instruments that we've already made. We and the community will be making tons of things like this, so your experience can just be finding an instrument that exists in here already. So you can just have a drum kit. And the drum kit behaves in the same way. Get down a bit. Okay, so with our instantaneously homemade instruments, let's make a piece of music now. We're going to write something from scratch. Here we go. So let's grab a timeline. And, oops. Bugs. Let's do it again. Okay, here's the timeline. And let's add choir of Sonar to the timeline and the drum machine of Sonar. Here we go. Let's give this a name. Let's call this the drums of Sonar. Okay, so let's record a few chords. Let's turn off the arpeggiator. That's playing all the notes at the same time. Let's go to D minor, the saddest key. Okay, and we're going to turn on the metronome, like this, and we're just going to play along. Cool, that was you. You made that sound. Yes. So the answer to that is maybe. He just asked me whether, I don't know if everyone heard that question, but whether you can plug in an external controller to this, so whether you can use a MIDI keyboard or another instrument. And honestly, we're thinking about doing that, but there's a lot of other stuff we've got to do first, so we're not sure about whether we're going to do that yet. I have a version that does that, so I've got one, and we're sort of using it and testing it out, but it's not like something that's completely 100% solid. Once we're in the world of everyone else's hardware that lives out there, it's much more complex. So maybe. Sorry, I can't give you a more direct answer. But yeah, it's definitely in the plan for sure. Okay, so let's turn off chords and turn on the arpeggiator. And let's play, there we go. Let's play here, okay. And record this. Okay, now, something I haven't shown you until now, maybe you'd seen it briefly, is this. This is a piano roll view, so you can edit all the bits and pieces that you've just done. You can see what happened here with the arpeggiator is it just plays one note after the other, so it's very simple. I can go in here, and I can edit these notes, and I can copy them like that. It's a bit loud, a bit toppy. I'm going to just make the EQ... Yeah. There. Similarly, in here we have a piano roll, and some of you may also know what that means. So this is showing you in real time the notes that I've just played, so I can edit these. Again, like, this is not revolutionary, but this is just allowing us to have this kind of control within the game. So you can create music using this system. You can copy notes, and you've got full access to the full sort of set of things. So let's add a low D there. Okay. Hooray. Let's add some drums. Let's add like a really simple four to the floor thing from the library, just to make life easier. Okay, let's put that in here and loop this. Okay. Ah, wrong button. Okay, so let's make that loop. Okay, so what does this mean in terms of adding this and controlling this to other things? So the thing that really excites me the most about Dreams isn't that we've done all this stuff. There's a synthesizer and a music creation system, and you can make samples, and you can do grain manipulation, and there's all that DSP in there that you get in other music software. But this is all in a game engine running in real time on the PlayStation, and all of those things that I've just been doing to make the music are accessible by the game. They talk to the game, and the game can talk to them. So you can control the speed. Every single thing that I've touched just then, you can control with information coming from elsewhere. So, well, there's two different ways around you can do it. Music can send information to the rest of the game, and vice versa. So I'm going to just add some floor. So we've got a surface for people, someone to run on, a character. Let's go back to our audio creation thing here. Let's add some grass. And let's get some floor from somewhere else very quickly. There's a desert floor surface here. And I'm just stamping this down and duplicating. I'm just really just making a space that a little character can run around in. And it's an enormous biscuit. There we go. Let's run around in Biscuit Land. Hooray. Okay. So I'm going to add now a very basic character. It's called our puppet. And he's like a blank puppet here. I'm going to stamp him in the level. And put him on the floor. And I can connect something to this puppet that works out what's going on, like what he's doing. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make the music speed up and slow down based on how fast he's moving. That might sound like a complicated thing to do. It's not. It's very quick and easy. So we get a thing called a sensor. And it's a movement sensor. Conveniently, it's labeled like an apple. And I stick it on his head. So this is going to work out how fast his head's moving. And then I'm going to connect it to our timeline over here. Let's move our timeline close to the character. There's a 2 there. Why is that? I'll stamp 2. Let's delete that one. Great. Okay, so move that over here. And let's open the timeline. And we've got playback speed here. So if I just connect the velocity to... There we go. Done. That's it. Wire from moving thing to speed of music. Again, this isn't necessarily something you would do to make something sound great. It's just a demonstration that the game can control all kinds of aspects of the music. I'm going to turn it down. It's really loud in here now. The faster I move, the faster he moves. So you wouldn't necessarily do this. The point is just to show you all of the things that live inside the music engine are accessible from everywhere else. It also works the other way around as well. So if I want to, let's say, we're talking about music visualization. Let's say I want the world to flash and change color in time with the music, right? It's a very simple way to do that. If I open one of these, we've got outputs that come from the music. We've got per beat triggers, per bar triggers, all kinds of different information coming out of here. So if I take one of those and connect it to, let's make the floor glow. So I'm going to make the floor glow brightly. So we've got like a really obvious, you can see that really clearly. It's going to be like the big biscuit disco floor. And I'm going to connect that to the beat trigger, like so. And now let's play our game. Okay. So what should we do next? Okay, let's try another little demonstration of this whole thing. Another thing I like to do when I'm demonstrating this is just take a little physics simulation cube and have it so that it floats around the space and use that to control everything. So you've basically turned your music into a sort of little jingling music box that you can play with. So what this does is this invites you to make sort of gameplay that's musical and integrate your music in your game in a way that's kind of not been done before. It just makes it give you this sort of playful sense of how to make your music be controlled. Like normally, this stuff is like it takes months and you have code people involved and they get stressed and you write a huge list of tasks for them and they don't know how to do it. Whereas here I can just say, oh, I think I'll try this today. It's really simple. So let's make a cube. Here's my cube. As you can see, my art skills are amazing. And now I'm going to make this cube live in the world of physics, make it movable, and ignore gravity and make the imp grab it. So when I play the game now, right, so we can do a similar kind of thing. We can control the volume and the pitch and everything with the speed of the cube. So let's find an effect field. Now effect fields can also be placed on the timeline. So these effect fields are those circular things that you had on the instrument, and those are used for manipulating the sound. I can also place one on the timeline, and you can see how it's in a region here. And that's actually affecting everything that's on that timeline. So if I make this very simply just change pitch like this much, when I press play, changes pitch. So let's make that cover the whole area of the timeline. Let's copy it to the start, blah, blah, blah. And let's add a movement sensor to the cube. I'm going to stamp that on there, like so. And let's have a look at this. Did that work? Or maybe it didn't. Hang on, let's do that again. There we go. So now I've just plugged into the power of that field. So now how fast the cube moves is going to change how much that pitch is changing. And let's also make it change the speed. And let's also change the volume. So I can just add volume to this as well. We can say the volume of this thing is being increased. Let's turn down the volume of all these. And then we turn up the volume with this thing. So now, hopefully, when I play, let's make it not increase the volume quite so much. Yeah, it's fine. I'm just controlling it from here. I'll throw it into space. Okay, again, I'm being very fast and just showing like rapid prototyping, silly stuff that just demonstrates the idea that the interoperability of everything is the key of Dreams. It's not just that there's music tools and art tools and animation tools. They're all in the same place. They're all working using the same system. They're all connectable using this system that I'm showing you called gadgets. You can connect everything with wires. So all of your sort of ideas about how to make something can be realized very quickly and easily. Okay, I think I'm kind of done with my experimental trying to make music with you all. Does anyone have questions they'd like to ask? Yes. Okay, so the question was, can you use the microphone on our headset? And yes, if you've got a headset that plugs into the PlayStation controller, then yes, you should be able to use that. Again, that's not an officially endorsed position. I've kind of discovered that this is the case, so we're not necessarily sure it absolutely works with every single one. But yeah, pretty much most headsets, if it's going into the PlayStation, then you can record that sound, yes. Does anyone else have a question? Thing that we were talking about. Again, this is experimental potential Dreams version 2 stuff, not for the current version. But the way it currently works is it's actually converting MIDI to OSC. OSC is like a communication standard that's sort of the next level of MIDI kind of things. And so you can just connect your sequencer to Dreams and have MIDI notes that you've got in your sequencer and then use that to control Dreams. So in theory, yes, potentially in the future, maybe, yes, possibly, don't know. But yeah, possibly. Anyone else? Questions? Anyone else have any questions? No?
I seem to remember seeing a VR video some time ago. Is that still something that you're working on? Is there any idea of incorporating VR?
Yeah, so we are working on VR, and we're not quite sure exactly what range of features we're going to have with VR, but definitely VR is something we're going to ship with. So we're not sure exactly whether it's going to be creation in VR or just playing in VR. We're not exactly certain what it's going to be. There's quite a lot of stuff still to do, and part of it depends on timeframes and stuff. But yes, short answer, yes, VR, yes, is happening. Any other questions?
Just a question about like automation, like automating some of this stuff. Is there like a record mode where you can kind of I guess you did some of that then.
That's a great question. Yes, I'm going to show you that now. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to automate something. Now, I showed you recording and animation earlier. So let's just delete these control-y things. And delete this man. And delete that field. Let's turn these back up. Okay, great. So you can animate any of the faders, any of the things that you can do, you can animate it, and you can record that as an animation. So earlier you saw me animate a platform and just move it around. Let's animate a filter on these drums. Let's do that really quick. Filter, let's turn that on. And that's so. And I'm just going to make it so that you can just hear this track. Oops. Let's turn that on. So let's say, I mean, actually, the interface for doing this is really the surface. And controlling, notes on the play surface is the way you do this for sort of sound manipulation. But you can also use keyframes and animation recording. So let's do keyframes first. Let's say I want to take a keyframe, and I can just stamp it on the timeline here. And then I can record in this. So I'm just positioning that value there. And you can see it's gone a little bit stripy. That means this is now being controlled by a keyframe. And I can stop recording. And then let's grab another keyframe and put that here. And fade it up like this. And then we can make the keyframe fade from one to the other, like so. And in theory, we should get a fading in filter thing. Yeah, that demonstrates that. It worked, hooray. So, and then, yeah, so if you want more control over automation than just through sort of just drawing things, you can also do it like this. This allows a lot more sort of subtlety of control. Animation can be done this way as well as the recording way. So you can do sort of hand-controlled puppeteer-y kind of style of movement stuff, or you can do very precise individual keyframe movement of different items. So you can get detailed if you want to, similarly to the sound. And the animation and keyframing just applies to every single thing that lives in the Dreams universe. You can do that to anything. So that's a very powerful way of manipulating. Thanks, it's a good question. Okay, any further questions? No. Okay. Should we play a level? Have a look at some of the stuff that we've made? Okay, cool. Oh, shall I save it? Oh, I think I should. I think I should publish these. Let's do that. I just want to show you very briefly that. It's a very simple thing to do. So let's say your drums and your choir are something that we wanted to keep. Let's do that quickly, so that's worthwhile. I'm just going to delete the notes. So we're just saving the instrument. And I can take this choir of Sonar, I can say save as a new creation. And then I get the save menu here. And this is if I'm deciding, okay, I want to give this to the rest of the world now. I've made a lovely choir sound and I want it to be on the internet forever, for everyone to use. So I'm going to choose instrument, because this is an instrument that we've just made. And I'm going to call it Sonar Choir. Yes. Yes, Sackboy is in here. And save. And let's do that with the drums as well. I'm going to save that as an instrument and call that hooray, Sonar drums. Oh look, there it is. It knows I've done this before. And save. Great. So now, if I leave this level, I'm not going to save the whole level. If I look in my profile, I'll be able to see my most recent creations. It should be in there. Well, let's find it. Hang on. Beam shaping. Sonar. Nada. Oh, it didn't work. Oh, it's okay. This works if it's connected to the internet, not if it doesn't. So, disappointing. It does work, promise. Okay, so let's play something. So dream surfing is the other side of dreams. This is where you go if you just want to experience what other people have made. So we can just take a look at one of the levels that Media Molecule have made in this section. Should we do dream search actually? Let's have a look at should we do this community content part? Yeah. All right, so this is an impression of what it might be like surfing through all kinds of different levels that other people in the community have made. Yeah, so these aren't made as part of our Media Molecule story content. This is just everyone at work is always making their own sort of projects and their own side things. And so we've just assembled a collection of the best of those to just demonstrate what this feels like. So this is called Please Hug Me. Poor guy just wants a hug. No one will do it. Why? It's very sad. So, as you can see, you don't always have to make something that's, you know, serious and has deep emotional resonance. Okay, so this is one of our artists, and she's really keen on sort of making all these sort of beautiful things, and her work is incredibly detailed. But in her spare time, she likes to terrify people. So this has a sort of like more horror kind of feel. So this game is very two-dimensional, and it was made by a bunch of, well, Alex made this, and 4 other people on a train going from Chicago to San Francisco, I think in 4 days, was it? 3 days. So this is 3 days' work. So far, all 2D. Oh, but wait. So all of the music was made whilst on the train as well. Every single thing you see there and hear there was made in 3 days on a train. I'm alone in the dark. What's happening? Am I? Where do I go? Oh, that's it. I think so. Yeah. That's it. Well, sometimes you might find something in the community that doesn't quite work, so you might want to just skip, which is also perfectly valid. So again, this is somebody that spent a bit more time just working on the sort of music visualization side of things and just using all those sort of musical outputs that I was talking about earlier. So music's driving all of the graphical changes. this is more the girl that did the horror level also made this. This is a completely different feeling again. It's a sort of more side-scrolling, jumping adventure, and it's very sort of pretty. One of the details in this that you might appreciate is, again, I connected the speed of this little character that's moving around the screen now to the speed of the music. So this is like a demonstration we did earlier, but it's a little bit prettier. It's quite subtle, so you wouldn't necessarily know, but... Okay, this was made by our web designer. And this is really hard. It's called Dr. Rendezvous. And it's a sort of a docking game. You have to dock the spaceship with the other spaceship. And okay, I'm going to skip now because I am really no good at that.
Was I awake?
Some people have this sort of idea that they can mock me. This is my voice, and it was just a placeholder thing. I recorded some dialogue, and then the creative director decided to taunt me with this by putting my voice into these lips. And there's some celery as well. I don't know why there's celery, but there's celery. Okay, now we're in a sort of space simulator. So again, I'm also not very good at that. This is a text adventure. Yeah. So this text adventure was made by one of our coders, Liam, and Liam hates parties. You can maybe tell from this. I don't know why. So coders aren't always the most social of animals. I don't know. Oh, it can take you quite a long time. It's about sort of going over and over again through the same kind of loop and stuff. You go back in time, and I'm going to skip very quickly. I'm just going to show you some of it. Kitchen, closet, stairs. Where can we go? Stairs. Okay. Great. Let's go to the dark corner. Go to the loft. What's going to happen in the loft? Ooh. You get the idea. Okay, we're going to skip at that point. Okay, this is 2-player. Should we get another controller? Hang on a second. So this is, again, designed by one of our game designers, Steve Big Guns, so called because he's got enormous arms, crazy arms. And he's absolutely a genius at these sort of little innovative, fun games. This is a game, you've got two players against each other with hammers. Yeah, so this is local co-op, two-player local co-op. Most of our games have that. So, you in? So the right trigger is smash, and the left. That's it. So I'm the red hammer smashing blue things. You're the blue hammer smashing red things. Yeah, you want to smash the red ones. Okay, worth it for the next one. The next level is the best. This one. Oh no. Ah. Okay, and these are just some examples of the art tools being used by people that really know what they're doing. There's a very painterly looking aesthetic to it. This is kind of a self-portrait of one of our artists, John Eckersley. I think that's the end. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, any further questions about what you've just seen? I'll just emphasize again, that was all made in Dreams, everything. No cheating. Every single thing was made on the PlayStation using the DS4 controller and the tools that I've just shown you. Okay, yes. So we have a beta this year. So this year we're going to be, there'll be like a smaller group of people that can have a go. We don't have a release date as yet, but there's a beta. So if you're interested, give us your contact details and yeah. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Thanks very much.